hello, my gorgeous and my beautiful shining diamonds. How is everyone? Good, I hope. All right, it's your girl Diamond Debbie, and it's been a minute, you guys, since I have been on here. And the last videos, as y'all know, I was going through some things. Okay, basically, getting off of oxycodone because my doctor and the pharmacy would not fill for him any longer, and that was devastating. Okay, and I got through it though, just so y'all know. It's been 5 months now. Okay, and I'm only down right now just to a Subutex 2 milligram twice a day, which is the lowest, and I got myself to that. Okay, however, I am getting a new pain management starting next week, so we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to let y'all know that you can do it. Like, I was so petrified because I was left with no means to detox, because it is a physical addiction and you get very sick. So if you haven't seen the 2 videos, go check them out. Right now, however, I told y'all I was going to start a story, okay? And I'm just now getting around to it. I'm sorry, guys, but it's just been a lot. But yeah, so anyway, I will start from the beginning at some point. But right now, I'm going to start with my true crime story, okay? What happened to your girl and the crimes that she committed that got her in a federal penitentiary, okay? You know, I have served other times in counties, yeah, because I used to be addicted to a different drug. I was never addicted to my pain medicine as far as mentally or like for getting high, but I was addicted to cocaine and crack on and off for a long time, okay? And I have been clean 11 years, but completely. But yeah, so I'm going to give you a little background and where it all began. So I was always adventurous, even in my teens. Like, you know, I started smoking at 12, then I went to marijuana, you know, then I did some acid, and back in my day, y'all, we had Quaaludes, 714s. Don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of those, but they were the crap back then, okay? And so your girl loved those, and of course, and then did acid. I tried acid, you know, but it was all recreational. I was never addicted. Then, when I turned 19 years of age, I got introduced to cocaine, okay? And back then, it was the ether cocaine, and it was, I'm just going to keep it real, y'all. It was phenomenal, okay? Because the grade was off the charts. It's not like that now. If you're out there doing it, for God's sake, stop, because it's not even real. They're cutting that crap with so much junk that it will kill you for real. Like, it's not even the real stuff, okay? And you can get it, I'm sure. I don't know now, but I'm sure you can. But it would be a very rare find, and you definitely can't get the ether or ethanol or whatever it was, ether type cocaine. And back in the day, that's what it was. But anyway, so when I turned 19, I had just had a baby, and I breastfed 3 months. I quit smoking cigarettes. I always did good both pregnancies that I had, okay? I could just, you know, quit everything, you know, for them to be healthy, okay, guys? Even smoking cigarettes, everything, okay? Anyway, so at 19, after I finished breastfeeding, someone introduced me to cocaine. And I started out using it, and you won't believe this, your girl didn't start out like just snorting cocaine. I was introduced to it intravenously, okay? Which is a whole new level, trust me. I fell in love immediately. Needless to say, did not see that coming at all. I promise y'all, at all. But anyway, it happened, and that blue light over there by my mirror, I got my little light strips running. Try to get that out of here for you guys. Okay, there you go. There you go. But anyway, so that's how your girl started out. And that's just how it happened. You know, I was naive. I was, you know, really 19, and I just didn't know no better. I was naive to it. I did it, and it took me, okay? However, I only did it 8 months of my whole life, and was addicted to it. And then I started selling it during them 8 months, okay? I had my best friend in the world, her sister, who was another excellent friend, of course, but younger. She actually is the one that, you know, how I got introduced. And she had an uncle that was a big-time drug dealer that was in prison. Well, he got out during this time. And so she was like, you know, we can make some money, blah, blah, blah. And of course we can use, you know, not have to pay for it. And I had Quaaludes I was selling also, 1,000, you know, bags, you know, hundreds and whatever at a time. Anyway, so I started dealing, me and my husband then, and I had 2 kids. And so, anyway, so when I started dealing, I was making, you know, money, plus making my, you know, habit, sustainable, because, you know, it didn't cost me nothing, and I was still profiting, okay? So anyway, her uncle really, took me, you know, right away, of course, and convinced us that it was a good thing to do. Me being naive as I was, to be honest with y'all, I never in a million, trillion, billion years thought that I could go to jail or even prison for that matter, okay? I'm serious. Like, I just never, that's how naive I was to that, okay? Because I've always just been, you know, recreational user until I got addicted to cocaine. But even then, selling it, you know, I still thought, you know, it wasn't that big of quantities, you know, but I just never thought about police or anything like that, y'all. And so what happened is, he had gotten out of prison and he was on parole and started dealing, and then I started dealing with them, his niece and him, okay, me and my husband. Now my husband at the time was like, we don't need to do this. Like, he was scared of the person that I started messing with, okay, and not knowing that he was, in fact, a confidential informant for the feds. I'm not talking small time, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Anyway, he was with the feds. Of course, I always heard you ask them, are you a cop? Are you, you know, affiliated with the police in any type of way, manner, shape, or form? And he said no. And, you know, of course, I always was told they're supposed to have to tell you if you ask. That is a lie. Let me just say, they can lie. They can do whatever they want, all right? So don't ever, ever believe that at all. And not only lie, but this man actually used the cocaine, okay? He denied it in court, but he used the cocaine as well, okay, y'all? But I started selling him ounces, you know, and I was selling Quaaludes, you know, in bags of hundreds or whatever. And so, anyway, my husband was really leery. And he was like, he did not want me doing it. But I went and met with the guy, the uncle, not the uncle, the undercover federal person. Okay, he was undercover for the feds. Okay, and I went and met with him. And so when we made our first deal, he come in, and my baby's daddy at the time sent me to the room. He did not want me being seen, and you know, so that I wouldn't get in trouble, etc. But that doesn't matter either. Let me just inform you of that. You don't have to be in the room. You will be charged a count in the room. If you're in the house, you're going to be charged too, okay? And so I didn't know that. But anyway, he snorted and did cocaine right there in our house, okay? And later on in court to say, oh, I knew it was cocaine by the smell, because it smells, excuse me, mothers, like ammonia of a baby's in a baby's diaper. Which, I don't know where he got that, but he totally lied about using, but he did use, you guys, okay? And so anyway, we dealt to him, and then my last deal, we made like 4 deals prior to that with him, and then we were under surveillance already before this all come about. The feds had us under surveillance for 5 months. They had tag numbers. They had people coming and going. They knew everything, and we never saw it coming. Okay, and so anyway, you guys, yeah. So after that, I was at my drug dealer's that last day. My husband was at home with the 2 kids, our 2 younger children, and the niece was at her house, okay? So the feds raided all 3 of us, but on the day of the raid, I was making a deal with them again, okay? And without my husband's, you know, consent, because I was at my drug dealer's house. So I was making a deal. I went and met them, and it was at a school, no less. But thank God the deal didn't go down there. I took them to the house where the drug dealer was, right? And then we had like an ounce of coke laying on triple beams. He had, you know, we had so much paraphernalia, etc., needles, syringes, and, you know, just everything, you guys. Bags of coke. Anyway, or he did, not me, but it was his. And we had an ounce on the triple beams, and they jumped out of a van, and they raided that house with the drug dealer, along with the niece's house, and where my baby's daddy's was, my 2 children's dad was at our house. They raided it too, and they come in from everywhere, just like in the movies, y'all. It is so dang scary. So your girl is trying to hold them out, literally. I swear not. I was putting my foot on the back door so they couldn't kick it in. And I even, you know, in my drug hazed mind, I told them they wasn't invited to this effing party, okay? Which is crazy. But, you know, you know how that is, y'all. Come on. Anyway. So, they come in. They got in, of course. And I grabbed the ounce off the triple beam. I went to go try to flush it. but the water had already been shut off anyway. So I just threw it down the hall to my dealer, and I'm like, do something for God's sakes. And he had weapons, etc., in there as well in his place. So anyway, needless to say, they raided all three of us at one time. Okay, they took us all to the federal building, and they have a holding there. And so we all ended up there, and it was terrible, you guys. Seriously, I was 19 and scared to death. I'm going to be honest. I didn't have no previous record, tickets, nothing. I was completely clean. The drug dealer was on parole still, so you know he was going to be in a lot of trouble. And my husband had a record of violence, etc., from his past because he was an alcoholic. And so he had a lot of fighting and junk like that. That's about it. But he still had a pretty steep record on that. I had no record. And the niece, I had no record. She was a few years or a couple of years younger than I even, okay? Probably 17. She was about 17 because I was 19. And maybe even, I think 17. Anyway, and long story short, guys, they got all of us, and I refused to talk, okay? And because I'm not a snitch, and I was always taught, you never, ever, ever snitch, right? Never, no matter what. And so I didn't. Now, my husband did try to take the blame for everything. And like I said, for 2 counts, I wasn't even in the living room when the deal went down. I was hid in a back room. But the other 3 counts was when I met them at that school and then brought them to the house. Okay, that got me 3 more counts. So I had 5 counts of distributing cocaine in mid-Florida. I forget how, and I think that they had about the same. My husband had the same counts, I think, and the drug dealer, I don't know how many counts he got because, you know, it was his house with everything. I don't remember. But anyway, we're all in there, and so none of us want to talk, even though, like I said, they tried to get me out of trouble. That didn't work. And the niece, she was young, so she talked, okay? So she just got off like we never even seen her, okay, when it came time to go before a federal judge. So she got off with like probation or probation, basically. And the rest of us, I was facing, they said 120 years, and then it's like knocked down to like 15 years, but I got 6 years, okay? My first trouble ever. I got 6 years in a federal penitentiary, okay? The 6 years for the federal penitentiary is based on, you know, you get a lot of time off for good behavior, etc. And I was in a minimum maximum security prison. And they shipped me from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way to Lexington, Kentucky, okay? Because it happened in Jacksonville. That's where I'm from. And they shipped me all the way to Lexington, Kentucky to a minimum federal prison, okay? They gave my husband the same sentence, and he had a record and all, but the lady judge, and I'll never forget her name was Susan Black, and she was running for higher up than even a judge at that point, and she did end up getting it, I think, after that, you know, a while after that. But anyway, that woman said she was making an example out of me, okay? And they tried to make me out as the ringleader. Really? Like, really? I wasn't no ringleader, okay? I was a scared to death 19-year-old with no record. Anyway, you guys, so I got 6 years, and I only did 16 months inside federal prison in Lexington, Kentucky. First offense ever in my life. And my kids had to go stay with family, and one of them with their dad, one with my grandma. And it was devastating. Like, I was so torn, you guys. So, anyway, the drug dealer, I don't know how long he got. And a few more years than, he did more time, obviously. But he did eventually get out as well. And my husband got 6 years, even though he had a record and all. I was just made an example. But anyway, he had to do the whole 2 years, 24 months in a maximum security federal prison. So he was shipped off to a maximum security prison, and so was the drug dealer, okay, to a different one, maximum security. And mine was minimum security. It really, wasn't that bad. Besides the fact that, I'm a kid that I never saw coming them kind of consequences, guys. It was crazy, and I was petrified. But it wasn't bad, I will say that. And you can work in a federal prison. That's the good news. And definitely better than going to a state prison, because you can work and they pay you. And so I had, I could get my commissary all that time, etc., get all my needs. So I started out working in the kitchen in a bakery. Then I went to an insurance claim thing that I did for them. And then I went to the print shop, where you are using I ran a whole collating machine. And so I learned a lot of good stuff, and I started making art. I can make laminated cards, and I did calligraphy. So I would sell them cards for $3 a piece, and I made pretty good money, okay? I hustled, y'all. But then I also met Mr. Louisiana. He was there. He won that title for weightlifting. He trained me in the gym there. And so I started putting all my, downtime into working out 3 to 4 days a week for a couple of hours each time. So your girl definitely built up, and I did really well at it, to be honest. And it was really nice, that part of it. And so anyway, I also got my GED while I was in there. And so I took advantage of bettering myself, and did a whole lot of reading. I read the whole Bible while I was there for the first time ever. I was baptized at 12. I've always loved God, or been raised, to believe in God in my family. But I had never read the Bible through, but I sure did in there. I cried many, many nights over my children. That was my main concern. And so, yeah. And anyway, I got the last 3 months that I spent in. I was shipped to a halfway house in Jacksonville where you could work. So I ended up working, and then I started working 2 jobs, working 16 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. I didn't care. I needed money to get my kids back. And so that's what your girl did. And she got her GED. I freaking had the jobs. I saved money. And after the 3 months was up, and I actually made it through that work furlough program, I ended up getting me a place to live. I bought a car, and I got my 2 children back. Okay? And then my husband had to do 24 months, so 6 more, well, not quite 6 more months than me, I guess. somewhere around 6 months more than me. So when he got home, I already had everything. Your girl was on point. I had it all. Yeah, and I had a very good job. So, and I worked for cable TV. I made excellent money. And we even bought a house after that later on. And so but here's the thing, on I had federal parole. And so for the 6 year sentence, I did 16 months in, 3 months of that in a work furlough, okay? And then day for day, I did 4.5 years on federal parole. And let me just tell y'all, honey, that it ain't nothing like they want to, um, they want you to go back. They want to mess you up, okay? They want you to do something wrong, or any little thing that they can grasp, they will grasp your federal parole officer, just like a regular parole officer for the state. You know, they're looking to send you back, and it really sucks, okay? But I made it. We made it, both of us, me and him. We made it through all of our parole. We stayed clean, and we did good. We accomplished a lot, bought a house, and had our children, both of us working, him days, me nights, because we couldn't afford daycare, but we made it work. And I worked for cable for over 3 years, making really good money, more than he was at that time. And so, you know, I did it. I did it, you guys. And so, anyway, and my drug dealer, I didn't see till years later, and he ended up with hepatitis B, and he died, eventually from that. So, yeah, that was his story, and the niece, actually ended up dying from an accidental overdose many years later, y'all. But here's another thing. You know, she narked on us. She's the one that talked to get out everything, but she was scared. But here is the irony. She ended up violating probation, and guess what? She was shit where I was in Lexington, Kentucky, and her butt was in my dorm. Okay? How's that for a story? And I was so mad and angry at first, like just so angry, you know, and because, you know, none of us taught I had to do so much more time and stuff, but her butt ended up there. And so, karma's a bitch, all right? That's all I can say about that, y'all. Karma is a bitch, and it always comes for you. So, you know, she still got hers, and that's the way the story goes. But I do understand, but I was pretty angry because, hey, I had two children, and they were younger. One was 5, and one was, let's see, almost a year old, maybe 9 months old, 8 months old. 8 months old when I went to prison. And my nanny raised her for me until I got out, but I missed her first steps, etc., because she was 2 when I got out. And when my other daughter actually was only like 3 or 4, and when I come out, she was either 5 or 6 when I come home. But anyway, I got them both back. She was with her dad. And I got them back immediately. Your girl did what she had to do, but it didn't end here, you guys. There is many more crime that your girl's done, that I'm not proud of at all, and I have changed my life completely. My husband is amazing now. He changed my life. And like I said, I've been clean 11 years now, and it's by the grace of God. Because after that, and I stayed clean 10 years. 10 years. I had 6 years that was revolving around the Fed system. I had to stay clean on federal parole for 4.5 more after I served the 2. Okay, so that was 6 of the years. But the last 4 years, I stayed clean all by myself, completely clean. And I even bought, because we ended up not together, me and him, the husband, and I bought my own place with my own hard work, and become a tag and title clerk and a notary for Florida. And I was doing the darn deed. And then I met some guy, and your girl slipped up at 30 or 31. So after 10 years of being clean, I slipped up, and that story will come another day, okay? I will let y'all know what happens after this, because there is so much more. So much more, okay, that I've been through. Because then, and once I relapsed at 31, I did not get off of drugs. I was on and off for another 20 years, all the way till I was 50, y'all. 50. And I am 62 right now, by the way. But I stayed on drugs all the way until then. That's why I've been clean 11 years only, completely. And so I had a lot more stuff go on, from, being raped to and almost being killed. I've been through a lot. So I have a story for you guys. And I just want to share it with y'all. And that's not all I'm going to be doing. I am going to be doing other stuff like makeup stuff, or not makeup, but facials and stuff like that. I do have some more stuff coming. I'm sorry, but my husband had that stroke 2 years ago, and we have been struggling a lot. I was helping him for a full year. It was a full-time job. I could hardly do anything. And then I was having problems health-wise with my stomach, ulcers and stuff like that, bad gallbladder, and a hernia. So it's been terrible. But I'm trying to get back on my feet, you guys, and he's doing better. And so I want to share my story with you guys, because I've been through a lot, and so has my girls and my family. And, y'all know I lost my youngest daughter to an accidental overdose, and they left her to die. It was the most devastating thing. And her birthday, September 10th, coming up, kills me every time. But April the 16th was 9 years since she's been gone, and she was 31. So she was so amazing. And I have another daughter, and now I have 3 great new grandbabies, okay? Basically new. One of them's not. The other 2 are new, okay? And one's a year old, just turned a year old. The other ones are just months old, okay? And I am going to see them in Jacksonville next month in September, and I can't wait. But I'm going to come back on, and I'm going to finish telling y'all about the other crimes I committed and paid for dearly, okay? And so you guys, I hope this helps someone. And I'll also tell you about restoring your rights, about a weapon you can use even as a felon, and things like that. Things that could help you if you are a felon, or if you are going through things that are hindering you, like from getting a job, etc., or an apartment, because of your record or you being a felon. I will help y'all. And if you have any questions, just please comment below. I'll be glad to be transparent and answer anything y'all need to know. But yes, I went through a lot, and I am a survivor, okay, you guys? But I still have another 20 years of on and off major drug use. I went from cocaine to crack. So, y'all want to stay tuned for that and hear what I have to say, because maybe it can help someone out there. That's truly my goal. And, as always, I love y'all, my gorgeous and beautiful shiny diamonds. And thank y'all for supporting and loving me, for your love and support. Please comment, like, and share the videos. Go check out the 2 videos where I had to get off my oxycodone, even though I wasn't abusing them. And it was a nightmare because I was abandoned by my doctor, and it really sucked. So go check that out, and I'll have more true crime. My crime, that's the true crime, my crime. And I've had plenty of crimes, okay, you guys, not plenty, but I've had several more, okay? And I will share that story with you and share how God has definitely brought me where I'm at today, and I'm so grateful, and I'm just so blessed, and I just can't. I'm blessed above and beyond anything I ever imagined, and I'm very grateful. So, I love you, my gorgeous and beautiful shiny diamonds, and I'll see y'all in the next. Oh, we're going to do a makeup artist choice body peel. I did one video a year ago on it when I first got it and only tried it a couple of times. But guys, it's to die for. It's the best ever, I promise you. And it's fixing to be coming up, okay? So stay tuned for some of those videos, as well as dermaplaning, chemical peels, and all that good stuff. I'll see you soon.